You're listening to BQN. Assimilate the audio.
Ma.
Oh, wait, I'm up here. Yep. Oh, all right. Gin and tonic at the ready. I'm ready for some gay love in the apocalypse. Cheers.
Cheers to that.
Hi, I'm Davey.
And I'm Mitch.
And we are
The Bargain Bin Gaymers.
Now, okay.
Not us being in sync.
I know, that was, well, I thought we were going to do something else then. We never actually planned that.
No, we don't.
We don't. We just, whatever comes out of these little yappers, these little holes of ours in our faces, whatever you get, but hi. Anyway, this is the podcast, YouTube show, and Twitch stream where we play the cheapest and not always shittest games out there.
So you don't have to.
And hopefully find a few hidden gems
along the way.
You just decide whenever you're going to jump in now, don't
I
you?
thought we were going to do it together.
Yeah. We really don't have that bit down pat either. But anyway, before we begin, I would just like to give a big shout out to all of our BQN Podcast Network patrons, especially to this show's associate producer, Sam Johnson. Hi, Sam. Hi, Sam.
We know you're watching.
You are watching, and we love you for it. Remember, if you would like to help contribute financially to the network to help keep this and all of the other BQN network shows coming to you all the time, sign up to be a patron over at patreon.com/BQN. You will never see an advertisement on our network, and our patrons they help keep it free.
Yeah.
They help keep it free for everyone. And they get some perks.
Yeah, and they keep the tracks rolling.
They do keep the tracks rolling. And here we are. We are back.
We're back.
We're back. We haven't been on for a week or two. Because it's just been a busy ass summer, hasn't it? It's just lots of things on. And
Too much gay stuff.
too much.
I'm over being gay.
You are?
I've had enough.
Well,
I keep forgetting.
what are you going to do with your personality now?
I guess I'll have to be a top straight women.
I'll have to be a top straight woman.
No, I'll have to top straight women.
Oh, you'll have to top
That's
straight.
it.
I
I'll have to give up men.
I don't think that needs to be inflicted on straight women. But anyway, it has been busy. But today we are in for such a treat today. I am so excited. I have played the game that we're playing today, and I cannot wait to share it with you.
I'm so excited.
And before we get there, though, I want to talk a little bit about the type of game that we are playing today. It's I guess it's a narrative game or a choose your own adventure style game.
Yeah.
So are you familiar with like the Telltale series games?
I've played the Telltale's Walking Dead and I played Batman.
Yes.
Which was not as exciting as I thought it was going to be, but still good.
I thought the Batman one was okay.
I misbought it and thought it was like Arkham.
Oh,
I thought I was going to punch people.
You were like, what are all these dialogue options?
I was like, why does it matter which one I click? Why am I punching them?
And I just finished actually playing one of these games, Star Trek Resurgence, which came out a few years ago. And people know I'm a huge Trekkie. I've got my other show on the network, the Trexperts Quiz. And this was a Star Trek game made in that thing. It wasn't too bad. It wasn't too bad. Little rough in parts, like they often are. But are you a fan of these kind of games?
I like them, but I like them as like games where I don't need to think, which is what I really like to use games for. I'm not much of like a super competitive video game player. I just play them to kind of like have a bit of like brain zen. These are super brain zen for me because I'm just like, I can like kind of take my time. I can give them a little read. Oh, fun little stories. And they have really great replay value because obviously you can do different things. What about you? What's your main draw?
I like that they are a little bit more of an experience of a game. Like there's light kind of interactive elements to them, but really it's, I think, especially when Telltale did like the Walking Dead series and it's, they're episodic. And, it creates a more absorbing games as an art form
Yeah.
kind of experience.
Games is an art form.
Yeah,
The man of culture.
Thank you. just catch me at the NGV. The National Gallery of Victoria for anyone.
For those international.
Yeah. But no. And there was a huge boom in them about 10-ish years ago.
It was when The Walking Dead was like really popping off as well.
Yeah, because that Walking Dead Series 1 and Series 2 were so good. And so popular. And Telltale pumped heaps of them out. And then they kind of stopped. And I think Telltale folded in the end. But they did like The Wolf Among Us. I think they did the Batman one as well.
I just realized that I played The Wolf Among Us as well.
They also did a series based in the Borderlands universe.
I played Borderlands.
I loved Borderlands when it came up, but they did a Telltale style Borderlands game, which was really, really fun.
My only knowledge about Borderlands is that all people that like Borderlands hate the really shitty live action movie. That's all I know.
I've not bothered to watch it. Although I do know Borderlands 4 has just been announced, but congratulations, Borderlands. Love your work, Gearbox. But there are a few companies kind of carrying the mantle a little bit now. And like with the game we're playing today, there is a lot of indie devs doing their own take on it. And bless you. Are you okay?
I held it in.
You held it down. No.
I didn't want our beautiful listeners to hear me go, oh, shit.
I was just like, do you know? You can't. I was looking at you just then, and it was like you really did not care for what I was saying.
Because I was fighting off the sneeze. I'm so sorry, everyone. For those listening, I did just have a little funny sneeze. So, but yes, anyway, continue.
Yeah, not editing that out, by the way. That is in the final cut, whether you like it or not. Yes, so today's game is an indie developed game. It is an indie game.
It's an indie game.
Yeah, so I'm so excited to share this with you. It's called Nocturnals. Now, Nocturnals was made by, oh God, I always forget it. It's Cowboy Toad Games.
Cowboy Toad
Games. Now, Cowboy Toad Games, 2 people.
Great name, by the way. Just FYI.
Specifically, one person, young Max from the UK and his partner Pablo. Who I actually sat down with virtually a week ago and interviewed him about his game.
You did.
Yeah, so it's entirely made by him as a bit of a love letter to his partner.
Which is very sweet.
Super sweet. So we're going to go and play the game in a second, and when we come back, we're going to share with you some of the insights from my interview with Max, which I'm so excited. It was his first ever interview about the game, so... Max put this out on Steam back in September last year. And it has had a massive reception. It has been so popular.
Yeah.
There's fan art, like streamers are going nuts for it. It's a very short game, but there's a lot of different endings to it. Now, I've played it, so I'm going to hold back on comment, but you've watched the trailer. You've heard me talk about it. What are you expecting from Nocturnals?
I'm expecting difficult choices or choices that make hold a lot of narrative weight, which is what I like about these games, where you have to make like a difficult choice. I'm expecting some thrills, nothing too crazy. I don't think it's a specifically horror-focused game, so I'm not going to be jumping out of my seat. But obviously there's like a post-apocalyptic setting for it, so it's probably going to have like some spooky atmosphere. And I'm looking forward to some really cute queer representation.
I love my queer representation.
I'm a little bit nervous because I always hesitate towards like the gays that have to suffer and die trope in media. So I hope I get the endings where everyone's really happy and really smiling. But
what do they call it in movies? The bury your gays.
Bury your gays. Yeah, but it's like those movies like Hold the Man or something, where like the
Holding the Man,
where like the guy like dies in the car and stuff like that, and he's just devastated.
But that's a true story.
Spoiler, by the way. Yeah, I know, but it's still sad. I don't want to know.
I know.
Nowadays, I think people develop queer media not through the lens of how hard is our life. It's just more like we exist. So I'm hoping I can have some of that. But if I do end up crying, you can see that on the Patreon. I will be paywalling that.
Yeah, just like the photos of his feet you can pay for online as well.
Size 11.
Yeah. Woo.
Davey just gets them out for free if you go back a couple episodes.
Oh, yeah, I did too, didn't I? When we were doing the Game Awards, I'm just like trying to be all professional. I didn't realize I didn't put fucking shoes on.
Professional podcast.
Head over to the YouTube version for that one, everyone. So anyway, so I've played through. So we are going to jump in, and Mitch is going to do a playthrough of Nocturnals now. We will be recording that gameplay. So, you know, if you do head over to patreon.com/BQN and sign up, you can see that full gameplay video. Super fun. However, for everyone else, if you want to hear our impressions and our interview with developer Max, we'll be right back.
1 hour later.
And we're back. Wow.
What an emotional roller coaster.
What an emotional roller coaster we just had playing your playthrough of
Nocturnals, yeah.
Yeah, dear. How do you feel about some of your choices?
I feel completely justified by every choice that I made.
Yeah. We will warn you from here on out that
There will be spoilers.
there may be some light spoilers, but
We got one of the 8 endings, so I will be spoiling that.
is it 8? I think it's 6.
Oh, is
Maybe
it
it's
6?
7. I don't know. They were literally just the options were on the screen in front of me 2 seconds ago, and I didn't bother to check. But that's fine. That's fine. Okay, so you just played through that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was actually like a really beautiful game. I thought it was quite touching.
Yeah.
I thought it was really poignant in like
How so?
just like the introspection of like communicating with another person and like getting to learn how to trust and like what does trust mean and things like that. I thought that was quite cute. Obviously having like the post-apocalyptic setting kind of heightens everything, but yeah, I thought it was very, very sweet.
Yeah, it is very sweet. And for those who haven't played it, and you should.
Yeah, you definitely should. It was really good.
Nocturnals it's set in a post-apocalyptic world. You play the character of Ted.
Yep.
And you come across another survivor, Diego.
Yeah.
And
Diego and his little guitar.
yeah, and they are gay characters, and there is the potential for them to fall in love. However, there are all kinds of different decisions to make along the way, which can result in one of 6 or 7 different endings.
Correct, yeah.
Yeah, and your ending
It was okay.
Was
it was
it-
pretty sad.
it was pretty
Should we
sad.
discuss like the whole kind of what led up to it?
Yeah, well, I mean, you made a decision early on in your playthrough that I did not make.
Yes.
Which involved violence.
Yes.
And murder.
Well, at the start of the game, you start in a furniture factory or whatever it's called.
It was a furniture store.
It was a furniture store
Some
of
kind of IKEA.
some description, and you need to get some fuel, and I am held at gunpoint by these 2 women. One of them wants me to just be killed immediately, which is really nice of her. And then she chases me with a knife in an attempt to steal the keys to get to my car. Now, she was coming for blood. She would have killed me. And I decided to shoot her in the head.
Right.
That was the turning point for the game.
Well, I think that was that changed things a lot for you. Because I think eventually, and I don't want to spoil too much, but I think, decisions that you make early on, especially before you meet Diego, will shape what Diego thinks of you later on.
It affects your relationship.
May
with
also
them, yeah.
control, I think there are options, there are different, I don't know what would be the best ending because I've only seen 2 of them. But I think there are different endings which can be quite tragic. And I also think that there are endings that can be not too bad.
Yeah, mine was quite tragic. So.
And do you know, my ending, the achievement I got speaks volumes about my old dating life. And that was Diego stayed with you because he felt bad for you.
Oh my.
So I guilted Diego into loving me.
See, unfortunately, Diego still loved me even though I was a murderer.
Yeah. And can you believe that this whole game was made by one person?
It was a project of passion in every sense of the word. I could tell that the characters were really well written. Obviously, there's some basis on some of those characters. Diego and Ted being the guy who developed it and his partner.
Yeah.
But also like because you've got different channels to go down, it's obviously like an extra labor of love because he had to make like 6 or 7 games, technically speaking. I mean, obviously it isn't like that thorough, but still like having to have all these different storylines that branch into each other. It's obviously like a bit of a passion, and it really shone through in the game, I think.
Yeah, it really does. And it's such a cute and interesting little style to it.
Yeah, it was kind of giving me like South Park energy, but in a good way, by the way.
I thought the same thing. I was like, this is like adult South Park.
Yeah.
It's very adult South Park.
Yeah. I was kind of hoping like the Canadians were going to pop in or something, but no, even the art style, like there was thrilling parts of the game that I was not prepared for. I didn't know I was going to be so scared. I'm scared of the dark because I'm a little girl. And there were some quite scary bits. The creature design was kind of spooky. It was pretty good.
Yeah, you jumped a few times.
Oh, I jumped.
You were actually terrified. You were even getting angry at me for making you play the game.
Oh my god. What was that? Oh no. No. David.
Run. Turn around that way.
Yes. I'm going.
Quick, run.
Well, you've turned down the sensitivity, so it's very... Oh, I have unlimited running. That's useful. I was mad because I don't like spooky games. I like spooky movies, but games where it's my issue that I die, I get scared because then it's my fault that I've been killed by the scary monster. So Davey's like giggling at me while I'm like scurrying through this little dark hallway, and he's like hee, and then I get attacked, and he's like man. Like, shut up, backseat drive my game. But no, like it was a mix of like cute romance, like point and click. That's what they're called, yeah.
Yeah, I guess you could call it point and click. Yeah. Point and click, choose your own adventure.
Because there was interactive
There's choices
parts
to make.
Yeah. And then, of course, there was like that horror aspect, which I think was quite good. So.
Yeah. What I liked about this is there's a lot of games out there which say, your choices will impact the outcome and the way different characters think about you. You can genuinely see that the choices here are quite pivotal, right?
Yes.
Yeah, the story and the way, especially the way your relationship with Diego is going to go, will change quite dramatically. And I think that there are other things that you do throughout the game, which will impact that as well.
Well, there's like parts of it where you can decide to be a little bit more like playful and fun, or you can be a little bit more like survivalist deciding. And obviously, I'm a big flirt, so I decided to do a lot of those, which meant that we also got a little bit more romance. But it really is tailored to that way that you want to play it, which I think is pretty fantastic. So,
and there's a genuine desire to want to go back and experiment with with the different, because it's so short.
Yeah,
right?
It was like an hour and a bit.
I reckon not even, right.
Yeah.
I think when I played it, I spent a little bit longer because you were playing with the Xbox controller, and I don't know if I played it before Max is the developer, before Max added the controller support, but I played it with the keyboard and mouse, and I found the quick time events a little bit too fiddly with the keyboard and mouse.
It was good with the
controller support was so much better.
It was a bit more intuitive for me, at least, because I'm a controller person. I can imagine trying to do some of that with the mouse and keyboard might have been a little tough.
Yeah. And to know that this was developed just by Max by himself. Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's his voice and his partner Pablo's voice as Diego. And also Pablo did all the music. So he actually plays guitar.
Oh my god, that's even cuter.
I know.
My little heart.
I know.
But the thing with the two main characters is that they were obviously, I mentioned this before, where like they were obviously based on real people, but they feel super real when you're playing the game. Like they're not like, I don't know, I wouldn't call them tropey. Like they're not like a tropey, like two gays in like a post-apocalyptic. Like Ted's obviously a little bit different because you can decide to make him kind of a bad character if you wanted to. Yeah. Whereas Diego's kind of got a bit of a heart of gold, but he's a bit of an individualist. So it's quite cute being able to like, go through that process. And they were well created, and they were obviously just maybe lots of care, which I guess makes sense when you make it about you and your partner.
True. Well, and on that note, so about a week ago before recording, I actually caught up online with Max.
Oh my god, Max.
Max, and he was so lovely to chat to. So I thought it'd be good if we actually just hear a little bit from him now on the inspiration behind making the game. So this is a little bit of my interview with Max on why he made the game the way he made it.
We met when we were 16, I think, which is like, it feels like so long ago now. I think maybe it was like 5 years. Yeah. We're 21 now. So, but I think one of our like most pivotal bonding moments was realizing, hang on a minute, you used to make games on Scratch, and then it was like, yeah, oh my god, so did I. And then we kind of realized that we could be safe being like nerds around each other, and we both really like enjoyed making games together. They never became anything; it was just little projects. And I was like, well, you know, I think I said it in my video, but I realized like people throughout history have always like dedicated works to their partners. So they made monuments, poetry, art, music. And I was like, oh, well, I'm not a musician. I'm tone deaf. I'm definitely not a builder. And I was like, well, what can I do? And it's like, well, I like games. We both bond over games. So I'm gonna make him a game. And it started off as a thing where it was just like, oh, okay, yeah, you're gonna make me a game. Like, that's so sweet. And then it starts getting made. And then gradually, piece by piece, it's like, oh, hang on, this is actually becoming a thing now. And yeah, and then I guess I finished it. I still can't believe I have been able to just power through and complete it. I've never been able to really finish a project. I'm very much like someone that starts something and then gets bored and then moves on to the next thing. So the fact that I even finished this, I think, is simply because I just knew the whole time, like, oh, this is for Pablo. Like, this is my project for him. So I think that really helps get me through.
So is that not adorable, by the way? I think you have a little bit of a crush, by the way.
Yeah, he's pretty cute. Probably a bit too young from...
And taken by the beautiful Pablo. Thank you very much.
Well, where's Pablo? I wanted to see Pablo.
No, Max. No, it was so nice to... I'd heard a little bit of his story before, but just... I think that, especially as a gay man, gives the game a little bit more meaning.
Correct, yeah.
Right.
It's very sweet. And, like, I think, obviously, I hit the nail on the head because he literally just mentioned it, where it's like, it was obviously a passion project. And what he said, like, you know, people always dedicate works of art to their partner. That was so sweet. Like, what a sweet little gesture. Like, and I think that made sense because in the game, there was that little...
he did a drawing in the game.
Well, no. In the game, there's that Greek poem book about the two lovers.
Yes,
so I
yes,
thought
yes.
so. I know they're lovers. I hope they're gay. And so they're Greek. Like anyone. But yeah, and then also you've got the art in the game as well, which is very cute. So it was definitely a labor of love, which is very sweet. I'm feeling all gushy.
And
I feel all gushy.
And what I really like too, I mean, I like a lot about this, right? And I think meeting Max just made me, virtually, albeit, but meeting Max made me appreciate it so much more, to be able to chat to the individual behind it. And you can see his passion for it and how much he loves this. And what I found really interesting amongst many things, and I asked Max about, was, did he expect the game to be as popular as it has been?
And
right?
it did. It popped off.
Yeah. Because I mean, like, literally, if you look on Steam, the game has got an overwhelmingly positive reception in terms of reviews. Very positive.
Very positive. Yeah.
And like, if you look down in the reviews section, like, why are all games with gay people sad? Even though that's a thumbs up. But
I
look,
still agree.
thumbs up, love this game, gay and sad. What else do you want? Good choices matter. This game is great, but I have this problem where it makes my mouse... Okay, that's a bit of a criticism of mine. Story's so much shorter than I expected, but still very awesome, and I need a sequel badly.
A sequel would be good. I do like that it's short, though. I think that adds to the replayability of it. It means you're going to come back.
Yeah.
Whereas if this game was like 6 hours long...
Exactly.
It'd be a bit more of a mammoth to be like, oh, fuck, I have to do it again. So
I did ask Diego, I congratulated... Not Diego. I did ask Max.
There we go.
I did ask Max, what was it like when the game came out? And it was so well received. So let's hear a little bit more about what Max had to say about that.
Yes, please.
It's been amazing, considering I released it on Friday the 13th because I just wanted to, test luck out. And it's done so much better than I ever could have thought, which is, it's been really, really exciting and quite relieving actually as well, because the job market is just crazy. So I'm just glad that I've I've got something out that people enjoy, and I continue to make games, it seems like. So yeah, there's fan art and stuff, which is so awesome. Like, it's amazing to see like characters that I've drawn and come up with in my head. Just like people are still dressing up as us effectively, which is just so cool. And I make sure that I always like and comment on every single bit of fan art that I can find. Yeah, it's awesome. We've got like a whole folder of everything saved. I think there's like 400 images in there, but yeah, it's been awesome. I think the scary part was watching the reviews come in, because it's like I had to, in fact, no, it's actually been really good for me, because I don't know, it's just seeing like how like 90% of it was so positive, and then there's 10% that's like negative, but then sometimes it's not even negative because it is criticism, which is so helpful as well. So yeah, it was that was scary, but I remember it was just so fun. Like, me and Pablo, my partner, we just sat down, we opened our like laptop, and we just kept refreshing the page like every 5 minutes to see that, and it would say like active players were going up, and we were like, oh my god, I can't believe it! Like, there's like 300 people playing it right now. Like, yeah, it was awesome. Oh yeah, really good.
I mean, I was
Max.
I don't know what it is. I don't.
So sweet.
I watched that and I was just like, oh, I'm so proud of him. Like, I don't even know him from a bar of soap. Like, I spoke to but I feel like this is what good art does, right? Like, you feel connected to the artist.
I haven't even actually met him, and I feel like I know him, and I want to support him, and like I want the best.
Yeah. Well, because I feel like he's put a lot of himself into Ted and a lot of Pablo into Diego, right? So, I mean, even looking at him, like, he looks like Ted. Yeah. There's clearly a bit of life imitating art going on. I mean, I don't think they've survived an apocalypse together, but, you know, gay couples always go through their hardships.
A gay couple. I've been together for 5 years. They've probably had an apocalypse or two.
Yeah. Oh, bless them. No. I think they're probably going well. But yeah, like, it's just how good to see, again, queer art doing so well, right? And I love that he says that, you know, even the bad reviews have been good.
Yeah, the criticism, yeah.
Yeah. And he did actually, and I want to flick back just to him again, because he did actually have a little bit to say about, you know, what I mentioned there about him in the characters and how and why people relate to them so well. So let's hear what Max had to say about that.
I guess, as well as being a game for Pablo, it's also my version of like a time capsule too. So there's a lot of elements in there, like Pablo's guitar, for instance, that's exactly what his guitar looks like. And just like road signs are named after towns, and, you know, like just, or like people's names show up in letters that we know in real life. And so there's all of these like little things that are sprinkled throughout the game that are very personal to us, but would probably not mean anything else to other people. I love apocalypse stories, and I think especially, obviously, if you see the connection between Telltale's games, like The Walking Dead was a massive inspiration for me. And I feel like when Telltale shut down, there was kind of this hole left that hasn't really been filled. I mean, there's like Until Dawn, obviously, Detroit Become Human. But these games, like, I don't know, they're so few and far between that I was like, no, there's just something not quite the same as like what Telltale made. So I was like, well, if I want an apocalyptic choose your own adventure game, then I may as well make one. So that's why the setting was what it was. But also, other elements, I guess. I mean, I didn't meet him because he was stitching me up in real life. I mean, obviously that stuff is just part of the narrative. But the way that we speak to each other in real life is very much the way that Ted and Diego interact with, which was really lovely to see. There was a load of comments, and something that, like, I don't know, a majority of people had commented about the game was how the chemistry felt real, which I was like, oh, that's so nice, because I guess it was. Like, if they were like, oh, these two characters, they're not compatible at all, I would have been like, oh, well, like, oh no. It is a unique thing as well as like a queer experience about, I don't know, finding someone who, obviously, like, being queer can feel quite alienating at times. So to find someone else who's like you, and I don't know, I think what adds to it is the fact that they're literally that there's only 4 characters in the game, and they just happen to both be interested in each other and be a good match. And it's like there's no one else; it's just them two, which I really like because it makes it feel more special. And that's like how I felt when I saw Pablo. I used to be very poetic, and I would say things like, "Oh, it feels like I was walking around in the dark, and now suddenly you've like I can see in the dark because you're here." It's just all cringy stuff, but obviously that's what 17-year-olds, and so I guess the interpretation of that is that it's just them two in this world alone. That's like a dark and dangerous world, but they're together. Yeah, and Pablo as well. He's an amazing musical artist. I'm so lucky that I needed music, obviously, and I'm so glad that he was just able to write the score for it. And like, I know it was almost like his present for him that he's helped, create with his music. But I think honestly, 50% of that game's quality, if you call it, is down to his music, because I'm so grateful that he has these skills and was just like, it's been really nice because it's almost like a bonding project as well. I mean, I did the art, animation, programming, I wrote it, but he helped out with some of the writing and the music, and it was nice that we could bond over this game about us in that way too.
Yeah. So
sweet.
And there's a lot. It's really funny because that's not really funny. It's poetic in a sense, because before I spoke to Max, I remember thinking, oh wow, this feels like it's like the queer experience in a game a little bit, because even the fact that Ted is seeking out a community.
Mm-hmm. He's looking to find people because he doesn't want to be alone.
Exactly. He's trying to find where he fits in the world, and how many of us as gay, lesbian, transgender, bisexual, wherever you are on the rainbow, how many of us have had that experience where even today where, I mean, not so much today, but in recent history where we've been progressing more towards equality, you're still, you're younger than me, but you still you still had that. You still had a similar experience
100%,
of finding your way in the world.
Yeah, there was also a really interesting thing. It wasn't part of you've just kind of jogged my memory, but in the game, he even mentions about like, oh, do you think people can change? Like, do you think we could ever go back to the way things were? Can people be better? And I think that was an interesting thought as well, where it's like, well, are people ever going to be nice? Are they ever going to accept? Stuff like that. There's definitely lots of what's the term? Meaning under the hood.
Yeah,
that is the queer experience. So
subtext, right? So that leads me to believe that. I mean, Max just mentioned then that he's the romantic and poetic one, and you can tell that through the writing of this game.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, Ted doesn't strike me as particularly like super romantic, but of course, as Max said in the interview, he used to say like romantic stuff like, I was walking around in the dark, and then there you were. Fun fact: there's a part of that in this game where you're walking around in the dark with just the other character. So it does make sense that he's kind of poured his heart and soul into the game in that regard.
Yeah, and like I said to Max, I was like, oh, this reminds me of like falling in love for the first time. And not even for the first time. I mean, it reminds me of when I've met, my now partner, and you kind of, you're just trying to test the waters a little bit. You throw, because there's moments where Ted throws a little joke out there.
This is
a little flirt, just to see what kind of response he gets.
I really resonated with that because I love doing that. I love a little joke.
Yeah, just a little flirt.
See if they're going to giggle back.
Yeah, it's super cute. But not only has Max done an incredibly good job at creating believable characters, because I mean, when characters are based so much on you, it's so easy to make them believable, right? Because he's really poured his heart and soul into it.
It's easy to add depth to these characters and make them really believable.
Yeah, but he's also done a very technically proficient job in making the game.
Yeah.
Right? So he mentioned to me as well making games on Scratch. I did not know what Scratch was, but apparently it's some free set of online tools that is quite common for high school students these days to do like animation and game design and coding and all that kind of thing. But he did tell me a little bit about the technical challenges in making the game. So let's hear what Max had to say about some of that.
Yeah, it was definitely just doing the art and the animation and the coding all by myself. I mean, I'm not even a competent coder. There were times Pablo would look over my shoulder, and like he's very good at programming as well, better than me. And he would see what I was doing, and he would be like, "No, like that's like spaghetti code." Like, but I mean, it worked. But no, it got quite grueling, especially when I like announced so early. I'd like announce about like maybe 6 months before the release. Okay, this is the release date, and then in that time, I was like, well, I have to get this animation done today, and like. It got to a point where I had to do 1 or 2 cutscenes a day, which obviously I did every frame of a cutscene, and some of them would be like a minute long, and it didn't matter if I wasn't feeling up for it that day. Like I had to do it, otherwise the game wouldn't be ready. I think the last cutscene, I finished it maybe like 4 days before the game came out, which is so like crazy. Like that's just unheard of. Usually, developers make a game and they finish it about like 3 months before it comes out. But no, yeah. So that was difficult. I definitely did not enjoy moving limbs and like, I hated doing like walking animations. So you might see a lot of the time when a character's walking, it's only from the top half because I just couldn't get the legs right. And like, I'm not an animator. I haven't done like animation school or lessons. So I had no idea. Like it was literally, I feel like maybe the animations probably got better as the game went on. So there's maybe a bit of inconsistency there, but who knows? They might add to it. I think, in fact, no. There was someone that commented like, "Oh, this is so inspiring because, well, if you can do it, I can." Which I think is funny, but also, yeah, it's great. I think people can make games. Like, it's difficult, but it's worth it. Yeah.
What did you learn from the experience that you think might shape or what you might do differently or might shape the way that you might approach future games?
I learned, yeah, I want to try and do less animations. So I would do like, instead of everything being video files, maybe I could do more in-game animations that I can reuse later. I mean, that's what other games do. I would also probably, I don't know, give myself more time so that I didn't feel pressure to get everything done, like for a release. And something positive is that I realized, oh wait, actually I can finish a project that I've started, which was nice to know. And I think knowing that has helped me for other stuff, whether that's like uni work or, you know, everything else. Like, oh no, if I can make Nocturnals, I can do this. And yeah, so.
And you know, people are curious about it. And you've done something well with the choice system there, because YouTube is filled with videos of people trying to find all the different endings and trying to make all the different choice variations. So how difficult was that actually to program in those kind of branching paths without making it feel kind of, again, like you said with Telltale and all that, feeling too shoehorned into a set ending?
Well, I knew that what Telltale did wrong was they would have all of these choices, but the like individual choices didn't matter. And I was like, no, every choice needs to matter. So what I made was a score system where each choice, even if it's just a small dialogue or something, it would add to a score. And then it was like, you could play through the entire game with the same choices, but if you change one choice, it could give you a different ending. Because at the end, it calculates a score. And I think, there's like a quadrant at the end where it shows exactly where you were on the quadrant. So even if you got the same ending, you might be in like a different position on the quadrant, which helps show you that, I don't know, it's like I really enjoyed making that quadrant because it was so easy to do, and you could be in like any position on the grid, which I thought was cool. It's almost like a personality test, except very convoluted, because you have to play through a whole thing.
Now, the one last thing I want to leave us on with Max is, what's next, right? So Max has ported the game to iOS, so people can play it on there.
I can play it on my phone on the way home.
You can get it on Steam as well. It's currently, if you're in Australia, it's currently 15% off for only $10.02 Australian.
That is a steal.
Until the 21st of March, which is a great price to play for this game. And for $2.95, you can also get Pablo's soundtrack and it is supported on the Steam Deck as well, everyone.
Thanks,
But,
Pablo.
yeah, so I was very excited though. So Max did share a little bit with me about what is next for Cowboy Toad Games.
Like I said earlier, we have this like dedicated fan base which posts fan art on our Discord server every day, and it's just so nice to see. And I think every time I see a new piece of fan art, it just gives me so much like enthusiasm to just like, okay, I've got to start on the next project. And I don't know if you know, but we announced on our social media, it was just in like text format, that we are working on a sequel, like a direct sequel to the game. And that so far is going quite well. I think I'm really excited for that. It's got a I will say it's got a different art style. It's like upgraded. I've been so used to seeing like characters in this new art style that just now when you've put up I can see Ted's like here in the background.
Yeah.
I kind of got a bit of a like, whoa, I forgot that it ever looked like that. Yeah. So hopefully people will like the new art style. I hope so.
Yeah.
But it's fun.
So Nocturnals 2
Oh my God,
is in
Nocturnals
development.
2.
And we said that because you saw in the comments on Steam, someone was like, sequel now, please.
Yeah.
So very
That's so
excited
exciting.
that there is a sequel coming. So I spoke to Max for a good hour. So Patreon subscribers, you can see the full unedited interview with Max over on patreon.com/BQN now or in the Patreon app. However, I will be releasing a special bonus episode of the podcast next week, which is just Max's interview.
Yes.
So early access on Patreon now, and everyone else, you'll get a nicely edited version of the interview coming next week.
Very well spoken young man.
Very well
If I
spoken,
spoke like that when
yes.
I was 21, I'd be going places.
So keep an eye on what Max and Cowboy Toad Games does.
Yes, you have.
So how did this feel for you? This was a bit of a different experience.
It's honestly kind of left me feeling a little like, not melancholy. I want to play it again because I love the characters and I thought they were really sweet. Like I would love to try it again. I want to see if I can get like a different ending so that I'm not as sad and everyone can ride off into the sunset and smile. But the fact that like a little indie game that took about an hour to play, that was made by one person, can have like an actual effect.
Yeah.
Very good. It's the power of art, baby.
Yeah.
That's why I love art. So I think it was really, really good. I think it's more than worth $10 on Steam. So if you can get it while you can in Australia, I definitely would, because at the moment it's discounted. But yeah, I really loved it.
But even at full price, I think it's still only $12.
Exactly. But that's the thing, like, think about it from that perspective, you know, blood, sweat, and tears of one singular person and his partner who did the soundtrack for $12.
Yeah. But here's the thing. It's really good.
Yeah. It's just like a really well-written, well-made game. Like, the controls weren't really buggy. There was really no issues about that. It was scary when it needed to be. It was poignant when it needed to be. It was romantic when it needed to be. It looked great. It sounded great. Yeah. No real negative notes.
Yeah. And my chat with Max has actually shaped a little bit of what we're going to be doing in the coming weeks here on the pod.
Oh my God, some surprises.
I know. Well, I did feel bad leaving you out of the interview with Max, but, you know, he was in the UK.
At
so
6 a.m. I'm glad you didn't.
It was
call me.
6. I jumped on the computer at 6 a.m. to chat to Max, and it was, you know, evening for him. But you know, I've been doing some investigating, and there are so many really cool, you know, experimental queer indie devs out there. So we've been throwing the invites out and people have been accepting them. So we've got an interview lined up with Queermo Games, who made the game Queer Quest, which you and I will be playing soon.
Very excited.
I'm also trying to get a hold of the developers of Queer and Chill. We're working something out there as well. And our good friends from Fnife Games will be coming back on the pod soon. They're just on their way. I was talking to them online this morning. They're just on their way to San Francisco to showcase their games.
Oh my God, yay.
At a conference over there.
That's so cute.
Yeah.
Good luck, by the way. Hopefully you're watching.
And I'm loving your dad's TikToks, by the way. I don't know if you see, you're going to follow them on Insta. One of them's getting their dad to do the FAQs for the game. So funny.
You say it's TikTok and Instagram? Like
It's
Reels?
on Instagram, yeah.
Yeah.
The
Oh my
Reels on
God, that
Instagram.
sounds like so much
They're
fun.
so good. And very soon we've got an in-person interview coming up with I think it's Doctor or Professor. I don't want to get that one wrong. But Xavier Ho from Monash University, who is actually through some of his work online is how I started to find a lot of the queer devs that we're planning to talk to. So
Correct.
super excited.
Oh my god, so much is happening. So make sure you subscribe.
That's right. Give us a thumbs up
yeah.
and all the rest, right?
And if you want, join the Patreon to get all that extra exclusive content that will be coming very soon.
Yeah, and remember, all the premium content is the free content, but if you are willing to throw a couple of dollars in to help support the network, we would be forever grateful, and we will be. Bargain Bin Gamer is putting lots of cool little bits and pieces up there at the moment for the patrons. So, yeah, I've had a good time today.
I'm feeling very I'm soul searchy at the moment.
I know.
I'm gonna ride home and I'm gonna listen to like a really nice song.
Yeah, our gin and tonics have mellowed us out a little
really
bit. We played a nice little mellow game. It's been a little bit lower energy than what I'm used to be honest.
Quite nice. To be fair, I had a couple of jump scares, so that kind of perked my adrenaline.
Yeah, I think that kind of sobered you a little bit. Hey, anyway, thank you so much for sticking around with us. We hope you're enjoying the show and the direction that we're taking. We love you lots. Until we see you again, I've been Davey.
And I've been Mitch.
And we've been the Bargain Bin Gamers.
Bye.
If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you give it a big thumbs up on YouTube or follow the podcast wherever you get your podcast from and leave us a 5-star review. Be sure to follow us on Instagram and Blue Sky and follow along on our live Twitch streams. You can also continue the conversation in our BQN podcast Discord by clicking the link in the episode description. Don't forget that the Bargain Bin Gamer is part of a larger network of podcasts called the BQN. You can support this and other BQN programs by becoming a patron over at patreon.com/BQN. We'd love to hear your feedback on the episode. Leave us a comment on YouTube or send us an email to bargainbingamer, Gaymer, @gmail.com. Until next time, au revoir.
Double T Media.